So welcome back to all the viewers, those who viewed the last two videos, and those who came up with a lot of vital input, who have actually encouraged me again and again. And I've got a lot of encouraging remarks from different corners, the people who directly knew me, even some of the people who were actually not in my contact, neither on LinkedIn, neither on any other platform, but they approached me, they come up with their comments, and yeah, there were some very vital inputs that that helped me out in order to just expand the analytical paradigm and bring many other things into discussion forum right now, bring them under discussion, the aspects, and then thrive upon that. So in continuation of the importance of book reading, this is going to be the third and probably the last video in this context. Last time we discussed the importance of book reading and its effect on psychological perspective. With a psychological perspective, how exactly book reading expands our horizon and updates our intellectual ability in order to gain more and more knowledge and utilize it in a way that it should be meaningful. We get a lot more better at imagining things. We are more creative. Normally, we are not that much creative. We don't have expanded our horizons a lot. But why exactly will book reading be effective? On societal level, on national level, on individual level, the most important thing is this. See, there have been a few questions that I would like to answer first in this video. Like one of my colleagues, I had this question being directed that what is the difference between reading e-books and hardcover or other options. So the biggest difference that I personally have been reading ebooks for a long time. I've read ebooks for almost 2 years or so. Yeah, I saved a lot of money. You know what? Many of the books were easily available, and at the other times you don't have to spend much as far as the soft copies are concerned. The books are easily available for you. You have this open sea. You can dive anywhere and you can go and measure the depth. And as far as the hardcover is concerned, in a country like Pakistan, and especially since I belong to Faisalabad, the options here, as far as the booksellers are concerned, the options are quite limited. So you have to dig the books in. Otherwise, you can have online buying options over there. You can buy books online, and the books will be delivered at your doorstep. But the only thing that there are 3 or 4 different ways that it affects if you go for e-books or if you go for hardcover. Now, thing is, the first things first. Reading an e-book, you're reading it on a particular gadget, all right? And when you keep on reading for almost 2 or 3 hours on a particular gadget, say your mobile phone or iPad or any other Kindle or any other option, to an extent the eyesight suffers. It sure does. Whatever they might promise that they have this option to limit the damage that might be caused by this ultra a different sort of light that actually causes responses back to our eyes, and we are actually fighting the light of that gadget on number one, and then we are reading from the same gadget as well. So we are actually putting extra efforts. So there's kind of a pressure that our eyes have to actually bear. And secondly, what I have actually understood is that the soul of book reading is about feeling what you're reading, technically feeling it, the thickness of the book, the number of pages, the comfortability what you may have. You don't have to charge the book. You don't need to charge this book at all. You can read it anywhere, anytime you want to. You don't need to have backups as far as the battery is concerned. Yes, you have to spend something, but I told you in the last video that that is more of an investment that you are going to do in yourself. The money that you're spending on yourself, the books that you buy, they are going to affect you one way or the other. So I personally prefer going for the hardcover options instead of e-book options, because you know what, it seemingly is more convenient to be more natural when it comes to book reading and rely upon the hardcover options instead of the emails or any softcover options. So this is the reason why I personally now prefer to go for hardcover options. Number two, I had this query from a few colleagues that I should prefer going for Urdu language, because if I have to make it easily convenient for the students and for anybody else who is interested in order to make them understand. So I must promise that I'm going to start with a series from next week onwards to have this whole session, the whole discussion in the native Urdu language, the national language as well of Pakistan, for everybody to understand, especially the youngsters, who could actually make it to their minds and they could expand their intellectual self. However, I'm trying my level best to be as simple, to put the things, the case in as simple as possible manner I could possibly do that. So even then, yes, I would be having dedicated sessions. I will record dedicated sessions regarding book reading in Urdu, and the discussion will keep on going on parallel. Now, how exactly book reading affects? We have already discussed the effects of book reading on individual level. Now we need to discuss the effects of book reading or this activity on societal level, on national level. Rather, we have been discussing on individual level, but now it's going to be on collective level. The discussion has to be on collective level. Why it is important for us to get the knowledge collectively, why it is so important that we should make it a habit, why we need to put our youngsters into this particular effort. Nowadays, many students, you can see many youngsters, young children, they are always engaged with gadgets. They are playing games, they are watching videos on YouTube and other such platforms. And normally it's very rare that you come across a child who wants to discuss books with you. Like, I have come across hardly 5 or 6 students in my whole career who came to know that I love books and I read books, and they personally they would approach me, they will come to my office, they want me to spare some time for them, and they will discuss books with me. They will come up with a lot of vital questions. However, the number is increasing now. I'm trying my utmost best, but we don't have this culture of reading. Actually, we need to what I would say, build a culture. We need to actually make the youngsters realize that reading a book is not a choice. It is a natural phenomenon, and it is something without which you are an incomplete human being. If you're not reading, actually you're not adding to yourself, and you're still incomplete. And it's more of a national, I would say, duty to add to our knowledge. Our education system right now, it's actually suffering big time. There are 2 different education systems. One of them is the one that we have actually imported from the outside, from the developed nations. We have Oxford, the curriculum of Oxford being taught. We have the Cambridge being taught here. And then on the other side, we have an extremely backward education system, which actually right from the beginning introduces a young child to a suppressive nature. All right? Why? Because we are pushing them to read the course material. We're pushing them to get them limited into a paradigm where we suppress creativity, where we suppress imagination. And this is basically where we need to work hard. We have to give free hand to our students. We have to give them confidence that they can actually think about things with freedom. We have to give them free hand to think already. And how is that possible? Why those students who are basically studying Cambridge or Oxford, you go, you talk to them. I've got friends who are basically somehow associated with those schools, and you have a word with any student over there at a very tender age, very young age. They have already read a lot. They keep on reading a lot. They read just like they don't have anything else to do. They will keep on adding to their knowledge. This is what they're doing. This is what we need to do. Our students have to be made to be realized that reading a book is as important as reading a course book. All right? You know, when we are reading fiction, what it does to us. I was in a discussion with my mentor, and he briefed it to me that, look, when you're reading a novel, when you're reading a novel, you're living many characters. You're analyzing every situation that any character is coming and encountering. You come and you learn the situation. So in future, if you come into such a situation yourself, what happens is you've already known that what works better. And instead of going for hit and trial, most of the times you may take the right decision the first time. Now, it's very difficult to manage the characters when you're reading fiction, all right? Your brain actually is making a lot more efforts. You're putting a lot more effort to keep everything in chain, everything in context, and everything intact with each other. So this is an extremely outstanding mental experience or exercise, like we say, and then it adds to our experience as individual, because then we get more imaginative, more creative, and why this is so important. Furthermore, I would come up with another thing, something very important. It's not just for the youngsters. It's for those who are working men, who are either running businesses or who are basically doing jobs. I have this habit that I read at least half an hour. First of all, I'll reach my office at least half an hour earlier. So if the office starts at 9, I'll reach my office at most by 8:30. It'll be before 8:30, but maybe due to any reason I'd be there at least half an hour shy of the time. And I will at least read the book for 20 minutes before I start my office work, because I want to get into the game. I want to calm myself down. I want to, just initiate the creative idea, the creative mechanism, so that then I could direct it in a productive way. So this is why it is so important. This is why this practice is so beneficial for us. This is why it is important that we should keep pushing ourselves, that we should keep on reading the books. Like I said, that in order to add to our personality, it's important that we have to force ourselves into doing few things. It is an investment that we have to make. It is a crucial time right now for us, for this country especially, for the students of this country. We have to guide them in the right way. They now have realized that something is going wrong, and it is our duty that we should get them introduced to new ways. And the only way we can uplift them is when we introduce them to something that they have never been introduced before. We have to help them in order to restore their faith on this activity, because nobody ever told them that reading fiction, or especially fiction, is equally important as much as reading some coursework, say for social studies, say for English, say for mathematics. All these are important. The children, the youngsters, the people who are serving the middle, those who are in early 20s, late 20s, early 30s especially, these people, they need to actually help themselves with this habit. They have to develop it. So I would just conclude it for now, and in next session I'll be talking about the topic that how exactly I as an employee can be productive, and how should I spend my day at my office. How should I initiate and start my day? How should I complete and conclude my day in my office? How do I spend my 9 hours at my office? And how exactly can I be productive at my workplace? How can I win confidence of my colleagues in my own capacity? How can I make my bosses trust me more and more? And how exactly should I be adding to my knowledge by learning, by practicing? So next video will be about how should I spend my day in my office. Thank you very much for now, and thanks a lot for all the inputs and the encouragement. I should be signing off. Have a good day ahead. See you next week. Great day.